And specifically in my role, I help coordinate strategic partnerships and volunteer programs across the district. So serving all of our campuses, understanding what their needs are, and leveraging resources in the community to help meet those needs.
And I primarily am the coordinator for community services and mentors. So I primarily work with some social workers and provide resources that way. And then I also help coordinate two what I think are very successful mentor programs, Springboard and Collegiate Challenge, and I'll tell you more about those in a little bit.
Perfect. So as Marilyn said, we are so fortunate to partner with Loving Houston and to be such thoughtful strategic partners together as Loving Houston is doing such a great job doing outreach in the community to churches who are either currently invested in serving in our schools or who, maybe like many of you here today, are thinking about it, wondering what your capacity is to serve. We like to think our role in this, as Marilyn says, is to do a lot of the pre-work for you. It's our job, our team's job, to be charged with knowledge of what our school needs are. All of our schools have campus goals that they set out at the start of each year, and they work to achieve those goals. Those goals are all in alignment with our district's goals. So just to give you a very brief snapshot of big picture what Spring Branch ISD as the district is focused on, we have one singular goal as a district, which is fairly unique in public education. I think you often find a laundry list of we're trying to do all these things. We are trying to do a lot of things, but it all comes down to one goal for us, and that's what we call Spring Branch T24. It's our commitment to ensure that every child, not just some children or not just many of the children, but every child in Spring Branch, all 35,000 plus children we serve, have access to and successfully complete some form of higher education. And we define higher education as a technical certification, that's the T in T24, military training, a 2-year degree, or a 4-year degree. Again, it's fairly unique in a traditional public education system that we're not just setting our sights on a 2- and a 4-year college or university, that we say if we look at our world today and our global economy, the different service opportunities and different pathways for kids, a 4-year college or university is not the right path for everyone. It's not the necessary path for everyone. It is for many, but it's not for all. So again, that Spring Branch T24 is our kids successfully achieving a technical certification, military training, a 2-year degree, or a 4-year degree. Thank you. Yes, we're really proud of our district and to have a really supportive board and superintendent who champion that vision and make sure that it rolls all the way down to the front lines where teachers and community members are engaging with our students in our schools to make sure that we hit that goal. So that being said, all of our campuses have individual goals that they set ultimately to reach T24. That looks very different at a pre-K center serving 3- and 4-year-olds as it does at a high school, but we have broken that down to a multiple measures strategy, if you will, where we're asking ourselves questions like how much academic progress are our kids making every year? What are they doing beyond the classroom? How connected to school do they and their families feel? What are our alumni doing after they leave us? All these questions that we're asking ourselves as a system have helped us identify how we're measuring our progress to T24. And our community engagement is a huge piece of that. We know that we can't act in a silo and do this work alone. We have unbelievable and extraordinary people across our system who are employed by Spring Branch, but that's not enough. We need to make sure that we're taking a multi-pronged approach, if you will, and making sure that our families are supported, our community is engaged, our campuses know that they're not acting, they're not doing their work as an island, that we are a district of neighborhood schools where we ask and encourage the community to wrap their arms around the school and say we are here to support the staff members, the students, the families who are doing this work every day. So our process just in our team, to tell you a little bit about how we go about identifying needs in the schools, is changes every year, but it's really an organic process. We maintain and pride ourselves on maintaining very strong relationships with all of our 46 campuses across the district. So we're oftentimes hearing, like I recently just noted, entering this testing season, principals who said, I need help. They know to come to community relations. We've said we're the one-stop shop for them, so they're not thinking, okay, as a principal, one more thing on my plate today is to think about a community engagement strategy to meet my needs. They come to us and leave that up to us. And so that is, again, our role is to serve that principal and that community on that school to say, I hear you, you have a need for tutoring entering testing season, we will help. And so we turn to our partners and say, we have a need, we're looking for someone to step up and serve that need. So we hear organically over the course of the year from principals as needs arise and as those campus goals are set. We also, though, and something we're preparing for this summer, is we will intentionally go out and visit principals across the district so that we know our team has met with each of them to say, what is currently happening on your campus and what are those identified needs that you know in your planning process. So in June, as a principal thinking ahead to next school year, where do you already know you're going to have a need? Do you have a specific academic need where you're looking for people to pull in? Are you looking for resources for families? Are you looking for teacher appreciation opportunities because you know your teachers have had a stressful year coming out of this school year? You name it. A principal, as they're doing that pre-planning, we want to make sure we're at the table with them to say, what do you need community relations to do in terms of engagement efforts to help? So in the middle of the summer is sort of when we're done compiling all of that information, and is a great time as we're working with new and current community partners to action plan for the 2018-19 school year. We are armed and ready with a lot of fresh knowledge of, I just heard this from a principal, they need X, Y, and Z in place for the school year, next school year. That being said, and I'll let Pat talk about our mentoring programs, we constantly have needs in a couple different areas, and mentoring is always one of them. I'd say academic support, literacy, numeracy, that's fundamental to education. There's always going to be a need to help kids in terms of their literacy and numeracy skills, absolutely. On the same side, we also feel like a child's social emotional well-being is of utmost importance, and so there will always be a need and continues to be a need for mentors. So what we wanted to spotlight today are two of our district-wide mentoring programs. Again, if after Pat shares there's specific questions about other district initiatives, we have a menu of offerings that would allow a very small church or a single individual, even if it's not the entire church, saying, I want to help. What does that look like on a one-time basis? If I just want to put my toe in the water and see what it's like, all the way to the other end of the spectrum, if you were to say, I want to be there every week, what can I do? Whether it's you or an army of 50 people, we have something for everyone. And so we're always happy to engage and have those conversations. We do ask that the conversation starts with community relations. Oftentimes a partner will go directly to a school and say, the principal told me to go back to community relations. If you start with us, we like to help make that introduction to the right school so that you're not having to fish around and say, we thought we had something great to offer, but that school, it wasn't really a need. There may already be a partner serving there. There may not be a great need in that area. That's where, again, we like to make the job easier and be armed and ready with that knowledge so we can do some of the matchmaking for you and help bring you in the right school together. So that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Pat.
Okay. Do I just hold this?
Perfect.
Okay.
And
Thank
Pat will
you.
share about the mentoring programs.
I feel like I've seen some faces, so do you mind telling me who's represented here today? I was just curious.
Knox, right, in the back.
Okay.
And Houston's first, second row here,
Okay.
and then Sojourn Spring Branch.
Right. Okay. Good. Thank you all so much for being willing to hear this. As Abby said, I'm going to tell you today about our two mentor programs, which are, I like to say this, award-winning. And they both have won national awards in the past, and so we're very proud of them. We've had mentors that have actually won awards as well because of the amazing work that they do. The big one that we have is called Springboard, and that's our traditional one-on-one gender-matched mentor program. Linda Buckman started that many years ago and has really had to kind of release it slowly to us, but she is always there supporting. We run between 500 and 600 mentors in that program, and they are matched gender-based with students of their choice age-wise. If they prefer elementary, we plug you in at an elementary campus, hopefully one that's close to where you work or where you live. And if secondary is your choice, then we make that happen as well. We generally start the mentors with a third grade student, and hopefully they stay long enough to work their way through the system and watch them walk across the stage when they graduate. That's always thrilling for a mentor who's hung in there for that long. And we do have many that cycle back around and do it again and again. That one is Springboard, and I'll give you some dates about that one in just a minute. The other one is Collegiate Challenge, which is a more specific guided mentor program. That one started somewhere around 2001 out of a need at Northbrook and Springwoods High School, and now we have it at all 5 of our high schools. So that one is where you start with a junior the spring semester of their high school year, and work with them, getting ready, exploring colleges, talking about getting the right fit, whether it's T, 2, or 4 for them. Because, back in the day, we went through a little period where we thought everybody had to go to a 4-year school. But thank goodness our thinking has changed, and we know that's not true. We have kids that are better fit for 2 years or for the military at first to have some time to grow. So all those things can make a difference in that decision, but that's what a Collegiate Challenge mentor does. They help guide the student in their thinking and through that process of finding the right place for them, and then to start exploring the possibilities, looking at schools, looking at scholarships, helping them with resumes, helping them write their essays. Many of them are first-gen students. They don't have parents that have navigated this system, so you're there to help them navigate it. You help them with financial aid and how to do the wonderful FAFSA or TASFA, which, yes, it sounds difficult, but here's the good news about Collegiate Challenge. There are counselors and people at the campus who are the coordinator for Collegiate Challenge, and they're there feeding you the whole time and helping you and walking around and making sure we don't throw you out there and expect you to do it all alone. So we have strong support for that. So the way we do this with the training is for a Springboard. If it's a large enough group from your organization, then we will come to you and do what we call a lunch and learn. We tell you about the program. We tell your folks about it. We give them an opportunity to say, yes, I think this is something I'd like to do, or this is really not for me. And then we stay right there and train them, generally over this lunchtime. So they're eating and listening and learning and then being trained. If it's just 1 or 2, then I have some dates here that I'm going to leave. And if you're interested, you just pick a date. Hopefully the sooner the better in the fall. These are the fall dates. Sign up to come to the administration building and be trained. We offer them at lunch and in the morning, and some even in the evening. So there's a variety of times to fit schedules. So those are the 2 different ways we train for Springboard. Individually coming to us or as a group coming to you. Any questions about that? The Collegiate Challenge is a little different. We have partners for most of the high schools. Some have been with us a long time, and so they just continue to feed us the mentors. And we go to the various places and train them. On the campuses where there are very few students that participate, then the mentors are trained individually as well, but that's a different training from the one you'll see here. So that's kind of Springboard and Collegiate Challenge in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it, but I will tell you, just this morning a mentor was at our office expressing a little bit of concern, first time to be a mentor, but kind of a do and don't situation with something he wanted to do. But what he did share, and I love this part, is that the mom for this student was saying that he now loves to go to school. And that was the big change she had seen in him. It wasn't that his necessarily grades had improved drastically or anything of that nature, but just simply that he had a love for school that he had not had before. And she attributed it to the fact that this mentor had been working with him this whole school year. So that's very telling. Often you do see grades improve, or you very often see attendance improve, because you have those conversations with them and kind of, it's a life skills kind of thing. But at the end of the day, you have really become a good friend to them. So that's what mentoring is all about. You're an advocate, you're strong support, and in our world, we know we can't have enough support, and kids today really need the caring adult support, so that's where you come in. So we thank you for considering it. I hope you'll think more about it, and I'll leave the dates here if you're interested, and you'll know when you might want to come.
I think one other, thanks Pat so much. I will say, just a shout out, Pat, the Collegiate Challenge program was born out of Pat's firsthand knowledge of the need at Northbrook Middle School. So it's Pat's program that you don't give yourself enough credit that she started.
Yeah. Abby knows this, and I was desperate for help. I mean, when you're desperate, you say there's a need, and we need to fill it. And so I actually went to my church, and at the same time I was saying that, a teacher from Springwoods High School was saying the very same thing. So they said, okay, I think we're supposed to do this. And that they are still the partners at Northbrook High School to this day. Springwoods has made a change, but they still have the program. Administrators from the building come or go over there, and they are the mentors to students at Springwoods. But the church that started with Northbrook is still providing the mentors. Shell is another one that provides all the mentors pretty much for Westchester. So if it's that, or if it's just one person that wants to help a kid approach the college pathway or the T24 pathway, then we'll sign you up quickly.
Absolutely. And a benefit really to both programs that I think just a pride point in Spring Branch, we do this for not only our parents but also our mentors, is offer professional development opportunities. So we have a branded program called Parent U, which is Parent University. On the same vein, we have Mentor U, so Mentor University, and at least 4 times a year we offer professional development learning opportunities, whether it's learning about the culture of poverty or one on Thursday evening on vaping, a very serious public health concern that we see in our schools today. We want to make sure that we're keeping a read on what are those hot topic areas. Cyberbullying, we were talking about digital literacy yesterday, to make sure that as we talk about that multi-prong approach, that it's not just our job to educate the students in our school district, it's to make sure that the families and then their support networks, of which the mentor is a huge component, and key player in that, is brought up to date on what are the real issues our kids are facing, and we bring in local experts to give conference-style presentations on those topics. So just an added benefit. One of the ways that we don't just throw you out and say, wonderful, we'll find you a child and good luck, let us know how it goes. Yes, we're there. We've got a dedicated mentoring team to support you, a dedicated coordinator on the campus, and the professional development opportunities the district provides.
And one other thing I would mention, I guess I should take this, I don't know, that it's exciting and interesting how this works, but sometimes when you get a new administrator on a campus and there's not a program, or maybe there was one but it disappeared, or it's not active, they come in and immediately want to restart it, which is one of the things that happened this year. Ridgecrest has had mentors before but have none right now, but they have a new AP, assistant principal, who said, we need this. We've got to have it. And so she called us. And at the very same time, Landrum had a counselor that had transferred there, had a very active program at her other middle school, but this middle school did not have one. So she said the very same thing. And oddly enough, the elementary that called feeds into the middle school that called. So they are both wanting to restart their programs. And that's exciting because they were there once upon a time, but they ebb and flow, as you well know, like life does and things do. And so they were missing now, but both of those administrators realized the significance of that for their campus and the importance of restarting. So,
So you're talking about starting in like the 3rd or 4th grade And then you say something like walking the kids, or like seeing your mentoree
Mentee.
across the state.
Yeah.
So, are you with them for the whole, so you stay with them through middle school and high school?
If you choose to. Some people are uncomfortable with working with secondary, so when they get to middle school, they want to start back in elementary. It's your call. I mean, you don't have to, but many people do, especially once you get started with them and you've kind of formed that bond. Then very often you're like, okay, I'll go ahead and make my way to middle school with them. So it's your call, that whichever way it works, that's what we do.